This week on ANN, Adventist laymen are encouraged to stay committed to spreading the gospel and to the mission of the church.
Loma Linda University Health continues its Vision 2020 campaign to help construct its state-of-the-art medical facilities.
And an Adventist hospital in the U.S. is recognized as one of the top in the nation.
These stories and more coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church.
Thank you so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, during an annual convention for laymen, hundreds of Seventh-day Adventists were encouraged to be fully involved in spreading the church's message. The theme for this year's Convention for Adventist Laymen Services and Industries, or ASI, was called Chosen, Committed. The convention took place from August 3 to August 9 in the U.S. state of Arizona. Here's our special report from the convention.
The annual convention of the Adventist Laymen Services and Industries, or ASI, was held this year in the U.S. state of Arizona. This year marked the first time all the division presidents or division representative came to the ASI convention. World church leaders were encouraged to come to ASI this year by Ted Wilson, president of the Adventist World Church, in order to gain a better understanding of ASI and see what lay members are doing around the world. ASI President Steve Dickman told the Adventist Review he was thrilled and that the church was prepared to work hand in hand with lay people to complete its missions of spreading the gospel to the world. A big draw for ASI members was the exhibit hall. From big institutions, Loma Linda, to its It Is Written, to smaller humanitarian agencies, the exhibit hall had something for everyone. Hans and Mindy Thigeson recently started Impact Hope, a small humanitarian agency that aims to educate Congolese refugees living in Rwanda. Hans tells ANN why it's so important for ministries like his and Mindy's to come to ASI.
This ministry has really touched me in ways that I never imagined. The hope that these people have living in very dire, desperate situations. They are very positive, very God-centered. God is their everything. They are truly refugees living on this earth with the only hope of a home in heaven. And just the hope and joy they had transformed me from going there and seeing them. I realized that there's really nothing in this earth that I can face that I cannot remain a positive person, God-centered, and I can, pretty much deal with any situation here on this earth, because anything I deal with will be less than what these refugees and orphans are experiencing.
For more information on Impact Hope, you can visit impact-hope.org.
Loma Linda University Health, one of the denomination's flagship institutions, is currently conducting a fundraising campaign that will elevate clinical care, education, research, and wholeness in its region and around the globe. Vision 2020 will help the construction of a new medical campus that includes a state-of-the-art adult acute care hospital and a children's hospital tower. The additions to the campus will help Loma Linda advance its mission to, quote, make man whole. Loma Linda University Health sent this report.
Loma Linda represents something extraordinary. It was founded by people who were followers of God, and they envisioned something on this earth that they felt God wanted to do.
This is where the heart of the teaching mission of the church occurs. This is where that sense of quest for learning happens.
Vision 2020 is an incredible campaign. It's really a compilation of where the institution is putting its commitment.
California seismic laws require us to build new buildings. That has been the catalyst to expand the knowledge base of our faculty, our students, and to take that quest for learning really around the world.
Through Vision 2020, we're going to have a new adult hospital and an expanded children's hospital. We're also going to have a new Center for Research, which will be unique in the country, and that all 8 schools will come together for collaborative and interprofessional research from a holistic perspective. All that interwoven with the educational aspects is going to truly make a difference in the way we deliver care, the way we educate people, and that's what we're committed to doing.
We have been here for 110 years. Our current major hospital we opened 48 years ago now. Technology has changed so fast. So there's a lot of clinical things that are happening that we need to prepare for, and our facilities are not where they need to be for the future.
You're not building just architecture for architecture's sake. You're building a building with a purpose, with a function. That function is to train, to teach, to heal, to comfort, to relieve pain.
So Vision 2020 is basically taking Loma Linda, preparing it for the next 50 years of service.
Loma Linda is a tremendous blessing to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and by God's grace, it's going to increase in its impact in the future.
Loma Linda University Health is your institution. We welcome your students, we care for your patients, we send our alumni out to engage with the world. That's our mission, our passion, has been for 110 years and will continue to be.
An Adventist hospital in the U.S. state of Ohio was recently recognized as one of the top hospitals in the nation. According to U.S. News and World Report, Kettering Medical Center was ranked number 17 out of 210 hospitals in Ohio. Kettering was also recognized as one of the best hospitals in its Dayton metro area and the Ohio River Valley region. The hospital received the recognition based on its specialties in various areas, including orthopedics, heart failure, and colon cancer surgery. The rankings are based on objective measures such as patient survival, the number of times a given procedure is performed, infection rates, and adequacy of nurse staffing. President of Kettering Medical Center, Gerald McNaughton, said, quote, "We are so proud to receive this recognition once again. Quality is at the heart of all we do, and we are pleased that U.S. News and World Report has acknowledged our commitment to quality patient care."
Leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Victoria, Australia last week announced their decision to close one of the senior care facilities operated by the church by the end of this year. The decision to close the Advent Care Yarra Ranges facility in Warburton brought an end to 8 years of viability studies. An audit in 2008 found the rooms in the facility to be non-compliant, and in 2009, plans to relocate were unsuccessful. According to Record Magazine, a demographic study showed there is an oversupply of aged care beds in the Yarra Valley region, and there would be no additional demand until after the year 2025. The Australian federal government has also cut funding to aged care, which will directly affect the Yarra Ranges site. Graham Christian, president of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Victoria, said, quote, "I can confidently say that no stone has been left unturned, and we have undertaken a thorough assessment of every possibility. I share your anguish that we found no viable option. In the meantime, Advent Care will work with the Warburton Church to find a use for the building, which continues to make a positive contribution to the community."
Nearly 200 church leaders from various parts of the African continent traveled to Kenya to discuss the lasting legacy of the co-founder of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The first Gift of Prophecy Symposium on the life and writings of Ellen G. White in Africa took place July 27 through July 30. The symposium featured various topics, including White's contribution to the work of the church, how to develop a love for White's counsels in the 21st century, how to reach millennials, and Adventist education in Africa. Additional topics included health reform, contemporary prophetic ministry in Africa, mission leadership, and worship. At the end of the symposium, attendees read a consensus statement that reaffirmed their, quote, "unconditional commitment to the Bible as the inspired Word of God, and to the theological and practical guidance and end-time applications given in Ellen White's writings," end quote. Conferences of this nature have been organized around the world to help broaden church members' understanding of the spiritual gift of prophecy and the life of White. The first symposium was held at Andrews University in October 2015.
More than 100 people discussed social justice issues, including police-community relations, public health and domestic violence, during the Public Affairs and Religious Liberty, Social Justice and Prophecy Conference in the U.S. state of Michigan. The conference was held in Detroit from July 21 through July 24 and was organized by the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the Lake Region Territory of the United States. Speakers for the conference included representatives from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, local government officials, and representatives from advocacy organizations. Presenters explored how social justice issues are impacting the United States and how the church can use them as opportunities to emulate Christ's compassion. In addition, the conference's seminars highlighted prophecy and persecution issues in America and around the globe. Organizers hope guests were inspired to revitalize and strengthen public affairs and religious liberty ministries across the nation.
Thanks to a week-long evangelism event in a prison in southwestern Kenya, 70 inmates joined the church through baptism, and an additional 30 prisoners surrendered their lives to Christ by responding to an appeal. The culminating ceremony of the camp meeting at the Kodiaga prisons, which has more than 2,000 inmates, took place on July 23. In addition to the baptisms, an additional 70 inmates also graduated from the Voice of Prophecy Bible Study program. The ongoing prison ministry is organized by the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Nyanza. Leaders of the prison system have allowed the Seventh-day Adventist Church to build a house of worship within the prisons. The church, which is led out by inmates with the assistance of chaplains, draws 200 inmates on a weekly basis.
And finally, in the news this week, to help reach the Mexican city of Oaxaca with a population of 600,000 people, the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the region recently launched a group of youth who flooded the territory with prayers and hope. More than 100 youth took off from work and studies to participate in Generation Hands in Action, Hands for Oaxaca, which began the week of July 10. The event was also coupled with daily evangelism training sessions for the visiting delegates. Young people also took part in praying for the city, helping communities build family gardens, singing praise songs in buses, distributing meals and food baskets, and working with local church leaders to share the gospel in communities where there is no Adventist presence. At the end of the two-week project, nearly 100 youth stayed to be part of the second phase to assist in a public campaign led by Adventist evangelist Jose Vicente Rojas. Tony Gill, Director of Youth Ministries for the Seventh-day Adventist Church's Interoceanic region, said, quote, "We hope to have a well-prepared army of young people, fully involved in bringing in other young people to proclaim the message of the crucified, resurrected, and soon-coming Christ."
Coming up, see how $6.5 million worth of free health care services brought hope to a small city in the U.S. state of West Virginia.
What do I think is most important to me? What makes me whole and complete?
You have found what makes you happy, and then everything else will come into play.
It's important to all. The brain is infinity and beyond. There's no reason to never stop. There's always a reason to start.
Family. Family. So
I've never seen anyone that's so excited to see just me for no reason than just to see me. And I'm trying to be a better person for her. It's a work in progress. It's nice to see someone that sees you from those little innocent eyes, who sees me as the guy that she loves to come and gives hugs to. And
whether it's from my 3 children, or my friends, or my family, if this does not exist, then it's meaningless.
I want to remember this moment now, when 20 years from now she's an adult. Hopefully she's come to be a good adult.
We now have an exclusive report about the church's most recent mega health clinic.
See how the efforts of 730 volunteers provided free medical services to more than 1,700 people.
Your Best Pathway to Health sent this report.
Our top story this morning, the deadly and destructive flooding in West Virginia.
Yeah, the flooding destroyed several homes, some torn from foundations and carried away by the swollen rivers and lakes.
At least 23 people are dead, an untold number are missing after historic floods washed through West Virginia.
Why do bad things happen? Where is God in this destruction?
I had the opportunity this afternoon to see 4 young people walking across the grass on our property. And they shared with me that they had done some work in California. And 6 months ago, unbeknownst to them, God prepared them to be here for this flood. It's another example of how God prepares people to do His work.
That work in California has traveled across the country for the first time to the East Coast.
My family home that I grew up in, and that many neighbors that generations go back up to over 100 years, grew up on the same street in the same neighborhood, got wiped out by the flood that we just had recently. And, you know, it's very devastating to the whole community. You know, they lost more than their houses. They lost neighbors. You know, they've lost a place to where they can go back and have good memories. And, you know, but, you know, it's part of life. And, you know, thank God that this was here to, you know, come in and, you know, help everybody get back up on their feet.
In this world, our eyes see destruction and our ears hear cries. This leads one to ask, is there any hope? At Pathway to Health, the answer is yes.
So Pathway to Health has previously done pretty big cities, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Antonio. And when we looked at the United States, we saw all these varying sizes of cities. And we wanted to be able to reach the patients in the small cities as well as the large cities. So we sought out to find a city where we could combine our efforts with the church and reach a patient in a smaller town, and Beckley was chosen.
With the help of over 700 volunteers, more than 1/10 of the city of Beckley's population received medical assistance, along with other services.
I have to say, my first thought of the event was, gosh, that sounds too good to be true, when they appeared before City Council back in the fall. My expectations have been exceeded by more than I can describe. Through my tour yesterday, it's magnificent when I see the looks on those you observed, when I see the looks on the face of those volunteers. It's a very, lack of a better word, very magical experience.
We receive smiles, stories, and the experiences that told us a difference can be made.
They provide a great service here, and if you can come out here and become a part of it, you'll be blessed in many type of ways. You know, it's giving back to the community, and it's helping people in this community who go without. There's so many people who don't have insurance. You know, so many people go without having their basic needs. People who need glasses, people who need blood work done, check their cholesterol, and since they don't have insurance in this area, they just go without having it around here.
Everywhere I have been blessed. From the first person I met when I walked in the door to right down here right now. I have not had one person say a bad thing. I mean, they have went out of their way to just be so nice, and it's just amazing. And the dentist, the service, there is no way that you will not walk out of here feeling like the Lord has blessed you, brought you here, and gave you something. And if you leave not feeling like that, it's your own fault. That's all I can say. And I mean, I am so grateful that I came, and if I had my way, I'd bring everybody else I could, because you do an awesome service. There is so many people that have gave so much. It's just, you just give. You don't, nobody's asking for anything, and I don't think the people can grasp that. You know, it's like, I'm here and I don't have to do anything. They're doing it all for me. And I say, you know what? God does it every day, we just don't let him. So yes, I'm amazed, I'm blessed. I can't thank you guys enough. I really can't.
In all honesty, when I stepped up and I saw there was a volunteer line, and I saw, you know, there's an opportunity there for people to volunteer, and I thought, you know, maybe one day I might be the one volunteering instead of being the one here for services. I've always liked to help people, so seeing that, and then I heard also, when I heard the number, just a guesstimate of how many volunteers were already here, it blew my mind.
You're trying to reach a community on a deeper level than just the services that you're providing, and we appreciate it.
So I am thrilled. Our goal was 1,500 patients. We saw 1,722 patients based on the research to date. And that is just overwhelmingly exciting for Beckley, West Virginia.
In Beckley, Pathway has chosen to make a difference. We were rewarded with hope, encouragement, and genuine love. There is power in creating a ripple effect. Helping one, helping all. This is mission. This is mission accomplished. This is mission accomplished together.
How many of you have never been to a Pathway to Health event before? This is your first event with Pathway to Health. Wow.
It was wonderful. When you said free, we couldn't believe it at first, but everything was beautiful. Everybody's so professional. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
See you at the next Pathway.
See you at the next Pathway.
Coming up, see what happened this week in Adventist history.
But up next, see how a small card can turn into a USB drive that contains life-changing content.
We were a group of women outside the city gate by the river at a place of prayer. Lydia, a dealer in purple cloth from Thyatira, was also there. Two men came along and started to speak to us and asked to join us in prayer. We later learned that they were Paul and Silas. The Lord opened Lydia's heart to heed Paul's message. She and all the members of her household were baptized. Another day, Paul and Silas were on their way to a place of prayer. They were met by a female slave who had a spirit in her that could predict the future. She earned a lot of money for her owners by fortune-telling. She followed us and shouted at us. This was disrupting, and so Paul ordered the spirit out of her. When her owners realized that their chance of making money was gone, they dragged Paul and Silas to the authorities, and they were put in prison.
At around midnight, these two very positive prisoners named Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. The rest of us were listening to them. Suddenly there was a violent earthquake and the prison shook. All the prison doors flew open and everyone's chains came loose. The jailer woke up, saw all the doors open and drew his sword to kill himself. He thought all the prisoners had escaped, but Paul assured him and shouted that he should not harm himself. The jailer called for lights, rushed in and lay in front of them, trembling. The jailer accepted Jesus Christ, and his whole family was baptized.
Welcome back.
For this week's Tech Corner, learn how you can share some of the church's most sought-after books and media with a paper USB drive.
The president of IntelliPaper, Andrew DePaula, has more.
I'd like to tell you about one of the neatest sharing tools that is available today. You're all familiar with USB thumb drive technology. Well, here is its equivalent in paper. Let me show you. I take this card and I fold it in half. It's a thin paper card, only 25 thousandths of an inch thick, and by folding it in half like I just did, I turned it into a USB thumb drive. It's exactly the functional equivalent of this device, only it's a paper card. In this case, I have the book Steps to Christ right here, and I can give these away to anyone. When you do that in front of someone, their curiosity is captured, and all the barriers that you would normally have in handing out a brochure for this type of crowd are basically gone. And then I transition to telling them about the book. Often they request a second copy. They'll haul a friend over to see, this neat thing that they've never seen before. And we have a number of different books available and content. Here's something for children based on the heroes theme, Bible heroes. We have Dare to Believe, which is on creation and the Sabbath. And we have, old mainstays like The Great Hope, Great Controversy on different cards. And we're coming out with a number of other things as well. Visit adventist.cards to learn more. www.adventist.cards.
And finally, for today's program, let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history.
This week, learn about the man who translated the Great Controversy into Russian.
This week in Adventist history, we focus on two largely forgotten yet significant lives of service. On August 12 in 1883, Anton Barbès was born in Russia. While he was still a boy, his family emigrated to the United States, where they became Seventh-day Adventists. Barbès worked for nearly 20 years in church publishing. He helped to make the first translation of the Great Controversy into Russian. But in 1921, at age 38, he joined the staff of Canadian Junior College, as it then was, today's Burman University. And 5 years later, in his 40s, he was called to the ministry. Supported by his wife Anna, he then pastored for 28 years in Toronto, Winnipeg, and Saskatoon, and as a colleague recalled, he built up and raised up many churches, especially among Russian and Ukrainian immigrants. Anton Barbès died in October 1954, age 71. Also on the 12th of August, but 56 years later, in 2010, Hampton Eugene Walker Sr. died in Keene, Texas, at the age of 91. A native of California, Hampton and his wife Ruby served over 25 years in Brazil as missionaries. Walker had a passion for young people. In 1953, he introduced the Medical Cadet Corps to Brazil to help prepare young Adventists facing conscription into the Brazilian Armed Forces. And in 1961, he established the very first Adventist school in the Amazon region of Brazil, where today the church has 20 secondary schools educating some 4,000 students. That was this week in Adventist history.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
But in the meantime, join our global conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can connect with Adventists worldwide through more stories, photos, and videos. Visit Facebook/Adventist News, Twitter @Adventist Church, and Instagram @Adventist Church.
Our good news for this week comes from the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 1, verse 9. The passage says, "For God saved us and called us to live a holy life. He did this not because we deserved it, but because that was His plan for before the beginning of time, to show us His grace through Christ Jesus."
That's our program for this week, and remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.